The scale beeped once, soft and final, and the number on the screen dropped another 4 ounces. I stared at it while 8-month-old Lily Cole lay beneath the warmer, too quiet for a baby who had just been undressed in a cold room. "Run it again," a man said behind me. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The resident beside the door moved before I did, and 2 security men straightened as if the air itself had received an order. I recognized Adrian Cole from the whispered warning at the nurse's station. Powerful. Dangerous. A man whose daughter had been losing weight for 6 weeks while specialists filled her chart with possibilities. My shift had started 12 minutes ago. My goal had been simple: assess Lily, document her feeding, survive another night without giving anyone a reason to call me difficult. I had learned what that word could cost. I reset the scale anyway. Same number. "The machine is accurate," I said. Adrian's gray eyes moved from the display to my face. His charcoal suit looked untouched by the hour, but his open collar and the dark exhaustion beneath his eyes told a different story. "Then explain it." "I can't yet." The room tightened. Dr. Ethan Shaw stepped closer with Lily's chart. "Her intake remains adequate. We're repeating the metabolic panel and absorption studies." Adrian looked at him. "And while you repeat yourselves, she disappears?" No one answered. I lifted Lily carefully. She felt too light against my forearm, all warm skin and fragile bones. "When was her last feeding?" Vanessa Reed, the family's household manager, answered from the window. 40 minutes ago. 5 ounces. Everything is logged automatically." She held up a tablet displaying neat rows of times and numbers. "Our formula machine measures every bottle. The system cannot make mistakes." I had heard that kind of certainty before. Years ago, I had reported a pattern everyone else preferred not to see. The child survived. My reputation did not. Since then, I had promised myself I would never confuse authority with accuracy again. "I want to watch the next feeding," I said. Dr. Shaw frowned. "Claire, we're preparing a transfer." Mr. Cole requested a specialist center. Adrian's phone was already in his hand. "Transport can be here within the hour." I touched Lily's cheek. She turned toward my gloved finger, searching weakly. Moving her now adds stress. "Give me one controlled feeding first." Adrian's gaze hardened. "You think one bottle will tell you what 6 weeks of medicine hasn't?" "I think her body is saying something the chart isn't." Vanessa's fingers tightened around the tablet. Dr. Shaw exhaled through his nose. "We don't delay a higher level of care because a nurse has a feeling." The old humiliation flashed hot beneath my ribs, but I kept my voice level. "It isn't a feeling. Her recorded intake and her physical condition do not match. I'm asking for 6 hours, standardized bottles, direct observation, and repeat glucose checks. If nothing changes, transfer her." Adrian studied me long enough for Lily's monitor to become the loudest thing in the room. Then he lowered his phone. 6 hours. Dr. Shaw started to object. Adrian lifted one hand, and the objection died without a word. "You have 6 hours, Nurse Bennett. If she worsens, we leave." The next bottle arrived from the family supply. I settled Lily against my arm and started the timer on my watch. She latched, sucked, paused. The milk level dropped, but I counted too few swallows. Her eyelids fluttered with effort. By the second ounce, her breathing had quickened. "She's tired," Vanessa said. "She always feeds slowly." I stopped the bottle and examined the nipple, then the printed feeding log. 5 ounces consumed. Again and again. Perfect numbers attached to a child who was fading. I turned the bottle beneath the examination light. The liquid shifted against the plastic, pale and almost convincing. Almost. Adrian stepped beside me. "What do you see?" I held the bottle toward the light and felt the meaning of the chart begin to change. "The next feeding doesn't come from home. The next feeding doesn't come from home." Vanessa's expression barely changed, but her thumb stopped moving across the tablet. Dr. Shaw looked from the bottle to me. On what basis? On the basis that we need one clean comparison. I set the family bottle on the counter without accusing anyone of anything. Formula prepared by hospital nutrition. New nipple. We weigh it before and after. I count active swallows, check glucose, and document separately from the home log. Adrian stood close enough that I could feel the tension coming off him, but he didn't interrupt. Vanessa did. Lily rejects unfamiliar bottles. Her mother chose this system herself. The reference landed exactly where she intended. Adrian's jaw tightened. His eyes went to his daughter, then to the bottle under the light. How long? He asked me. One feeding gives us a direction. Not an answer. And if she refuses it? Then I adjust the position, flow, and pacing. I don't force her. His gaze sharpened at the last sentence. Neither do I. Good, I said. Then help me prove it. Dr. Shaw ordered the hospital bottle, though his tone made it clear he considered the exercise a delay, not a discovery. While we waited, Adrian paced once to the window and back. His phone vibrated twice. He silenced it without looking. Men like him were supposed to answer every summons. Instead, he watched Lily's chest rise beneath the blanket. When the new bottle arrived, I checked the seal, the label, and the preparation record. Then I asked a second nurse to verify it. Vanessa gave a quiet, disapproving breath. Is all of this necessary? Tonight, yes. I weighed the bottle, wrote the number on paper, then opened a separate digital chart. 2 records. 2 witnesses. No room for convenient memory. Lily stirred when I lifted her, but her head rolled weakly toward my elbow. I adjusted her upright and touched the nipple to her lower lip. She tried. 2 sucks. Pause. 1 swallow. Her face pinched with effort. Adrian moved forward. Give her to me. My first instinct was to refuse. His need filled the room too easily, turning everyone else into extensions of it. But Lily knew his voice. Her eyelids fluttered when he spoke. Sit, I told him. The security men near the door went still. Adrian sat. No argument. I placed Lily against his chest and guided his hand beneath her shoulders. Don't lift the bottle higher. Let her set the pace. His fingers were large enough to circle most of her back, yet he held her as if pressure itself could bruise her. When she stopped, he stopped. When I told him to wait, he waited. No demand. No performance. Just a father counting breaths with me beneath the monitor's green light. Lily began again. This time, I heard the swallow clearly. Then another. Her rhythm remained slow, but it was stronger. Adrian didn't look at me. Is that better? More effective? I checked my watch. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. For 20 minutes, he obeyed every instruction. When the bottle was finished, Lily had taken less than the chart claimed she usually drank, but her glucose held steady. Her color looked warmer. She opened her eyes and wrapped her hand around Adrian's finger. The change in his face was so brief I almost missed it. Relief. Then fear of believing in it. Dr. Shaw reviewed the readings twice before canceling the immediate transfer. We continue observation, he said. No invasive testing tonight unless she declines. Adrian finally looked at me. You bought her time. The controlled feeding did. You did. I refused the gratitude before it could become debt. One good result proves nothing final. Every feeding needs the same controls. His mouth tightened, but he nodded. Then you stay. I stay because she's my patient. Not because you ordered it. A beat passed. Understood. Across the room, Vanessa's phone lit in her hand. She read the message, turned the screen face down, and reached for the insulated bag beside her chair. I'll bring the formula Lily uses at home, she said. Then everyone can see there's nothing wrong with it. Vanessa lifted the insulated bag and headed for the private family suite across the hall. Before the door closed, Adrian's phone rang again. He glanced at the name, then at Lily curled against his chest. "Cancel the meeting," he said. A voice answered too faintly for me to understand. Adrian's expression never changed. "Then they wait." He ended the call. No explanation. No raised voice. Somewhere beyond that room, people with money and influence had just rearranged their night because he chose to remain seated beneath a hospital blanket with his daughter. That was how his power worked. Quietly. Through consequences other people understood before he had to name them. Lily shifted, her mouth opening against his shirt. "She's rooting," I said. "But she just ate. She may want comfort, not more formula." I showed him how to place her upright against his bare forearm and support her neck without tightening his grip. He followed every instruction, though I could feel how much he hated needing one. When Lily's breathing slowed, his shoulders lowered by a fraction. "You do this with every parent?" he asked. "Only the ones willing to listen." His eyes moved to mine. "You assume I'm not." "I assume nothing until I see evidence." The words came out sharper than I intended. Dr. Shaw had stepped away to review the new readings, leaving the monitors to fill the silence. Adrian looked down at Lily. "Someone taught you to distrust promises." My hand paused over the chart. I should have redirected him. Kept everything clinical. Instead, exhaustion loosened something I usually kept locked. "I reported a feeding discrepancy once," I said. "A doctor decided I was questioning his competence. The hospital moved me before it admitted I was right." "Was the child harmed?" He recovered. My pen pressed hard enough to dent the paper. My record didn't. Adrian's jaw shifted. "I don't punish people for telling me the truth." I looked at the men stationed outside his daughter's door, at the tablet Vanessa controlled, at the entire floor bending around his fear. "That only counts when the truth costs you something." He didn't answer. But he didn't look away, either. Vanessa returned 20 minutes later with the bag sealed and a cream-colored folder tucked beneath her arm. "These are Lily's original feeding instructions," she said. "Signed by her mother." Adrian went still. The folder seemed heavier than paper. Vanessa opened it to a page marked with careful handwritten notes. "She chose this formula. This bottle. This schedule. Changing everything at once may be why Lily is struggling." Grief crossed Adrian's face so quickly it might have been missed by anyone who wasn't watching for small changes. He reached for the folder. I stepped between the document and the bag. "We can honor her mother without skipping verification." Vanessa's mouth tightened. "You've known this child for 2 hours. And in those 2 hours, she stabilized on a controlled feeding." Adrian's eyes remained on the old signature. For 1 second, I thought memory would win. Then he closed the folder. "Claire's procedure stands." It was the first time he used my name. Vanessa heard it, too. She placed the bag on the counter with deliberate care. I photographed the seal, weighed the bottle, and checked the printed label before taking a sample. The family system logo appeared in the corner, along with Vanessa's administrator code. Nothing conclusive. Nothing I could accuse her with. Then I saw the preparation time. 2:14 a.m. I checked the home care log on her tablet. The kitchen had been secured at 11:07 p.m. No staff entry after that. I turned the label toward Adrian. "Who was in your house at 2:14 this morning?" Adrian looked at the label without touching it. "No one," he said. Vanessa's answer came half a second later. "The system clock drifts sometimes." I watched her face, not the tablet. Calm voice. Controlled breathing. But her left hand had closed around the cream folder hard enough to bend its edge. "Then we test the clock," I said. "And the bottle." Adrian turned toward the door. One of his security men straightened, waiting. I expected an order to search the house, seize phones, drag answers out of frightened employees. Instead, Adrian spoke quietly. Call Marcus. Preserve the system exactly as it is. No one logs in. No one changes a password. No one touches the kitchen equipment. Vanessa stared at him. You're treating me like a suspect. I'm treating the data like evidence. The distinction mattered. So did the fact that he had made it because I had asked him to choose proof over instinct. Dr. Shaw returned as I sealed the sample in a clear specimen bag. I explained the timestamp, the locked kitchen, and the difference between Lily's response to the two feedings. He listened without interrupting, then studied the home bottle. We can send this for nutritional analysis, he said. But one abnormal response could still be fatigue, flow rate, or timing. Then let's remove those variables. I heard my own decision before I had fully accepted its weight. We use a limited amount from this bottle under direct monitoring. Same position. Same nipple type. Same pacing. We already have the control feeding. Adrian's gaze snapped to me. You want to give her something you don't trust? A measured amount, after preserving the sample, with Dr. Shaw present. If we refuse every test because it might prove us right, we learn nothing. My stomach tightened as I said it. Lily was not a puzzle. She was a child. Choosing uncertainty for her felt different from observing it. Adrian looked at Dr. Shaw. Is it safe? With monitoring and a stop point, yes. Adrian's attention returned to me. You stop the second you see a problem. I was going to. I know. That trust frightened me more than his authority had. We prepared everything in silence. I weighed the bottle, verified the label, and placed Lily against Adrian because she had fed more effectively in his arms. His shirt sleeve was rolled back now, his expensive watch removed and set beside my paper chart. Without it, he looked less like a man who owned time and more like one begging it to slow down. Wait for her, I told him. He did. Lily accepted the bottle. At first, nothing changed. Then her sucking became frantic without becoming stronger. The volume dropped, but the swallows did not match. Her eyelids sagged. Her glucose reading began to fall. Stop. Adrian lowered the bottle instantly. No argument. No denial. I took Lily, checked her breathing, and called out the numbers for Dr. Shaw. Within minutes, her color steadied. The room exhaled with her. Vanessa stepped forward. She was already tired. This proves nothing. It proves enough to test the contents, Dr. Shaw said. Adrian did not look at Vanessa. He looked at me. You knew when to stop. I knew what to watch. His voice dropped. No. You trusted yourself when everyone else wanted certainty. The words reached somewhere I had kept armored for years. Before I could answer, the lab technician called Dr. Shaw into the hall. He returned carrying a single printed page. His face had changed. He set it between Adrian and me. The volume is correct, he said. The concentration isn't. I read the number twice. My mouth went dry. The bottle contained barely half the calories listed on its label. The number sat between us like an accusation. Half the calories. Full volume. Perfect label. Lily had not been refusing nourishment. Someone had been giving her the shape of it. Adrian read the report once, then folded it with terrifying care. Who prepared that bottle? Vanessa's face went pale. The machine did. Machines don't choose settings, I said. Dr. Shaw took the page from Adrian before his grip could crush it. The abnormal labs may be secondary, he said. Prolonged calorie deficiency can distort the same markers we were treating as evidence of disease. 6 weeks of specialists searching inside Lily's body while the answer may have entered through a bottle. The thought made my hands cold. Adrian turned toward the door. Lock down the house. Keep every employee where they are. Take their phones. Both security men moved. Stop. My voice cut across the room before I considered what it meant to countermand him in front of his own people. They paused anyway. Not for me. For the fraction of a second Adrian did not tell them to continue. If someone did this deliberately, announcing an internal purge gives them time to erase records and align stories, I said. You need untouched devices, separate interviews, and people who aren't terrified into saying whatever ends the conversation. His eyes went flat. You're telling me how to protect my daughter? I'm telling you how not to destroy the evidence that could protect her. The monitor beside Lily changed rhythm. A soft alarm became 3 sharper tones. Dr. Shaw reached the crib first. Lily's heart rate had climbed while her glucose slipped again. I moved beside him, checking her color and temperature as he adjusted the plan. Adrian took 1 step toward the door, torn between the men waiting for his command and the child under my hands. Mr. Cole, I said. He looked at me. She needs calm. Right now, you can stay with her, or you can go punish people before you know what happened. You cannot do both. His face hardened as if I had struck him. For 1 suspended second, I believed he would leave. Then he removed his jacket, laid it over the chair, and came to Lily's bedside. Tell me what to do. The choice changed the room. Not because he surrendered power. Because he aimed it somewhere else. I guided his hand beneath Lily's back while Dr. Shaw began a controlled nutritional intervention. Adrian followed every instruction, even when the waiting stretched and his phone vibrated unanswered against the counter. Lily's breathing steadied first. Then the alarm softened. Only after her fingers loosened around the blanket did I let myself breathe. She's stable, Dr. Shaw said. But this wasn't one bad bottle. Her body has been compensating for longer than tonight. The danger widened. This was no longer a mistake we could discard with the empty container. Adrian looked at Vanessa. She stood perfectly still beside the cream folder, grief and offense arranged across her face. Remove her access to Lily's care system, he said. Vanessa flinched. Adrian, not her phone. Not her freedom. Her access. His restraint was colder than shouting. Marcus copies every device in the house. An outside specialist receives the same data. No employee is questioned by my people without hospital counsel present. He looked at me before adding the final condition. And Nurse Bennett approves the medical chain of records. The security men waited. Vanessa stared at him as if he had broken something older than trust. Your wife gave me that responsibility. Adrian's expression tightened, but he did not reverse the order. My daughter is paying for someone's responsibility. His gaze shifted to me. Does this preserve the evidence? If no one touches the original systems, then no one does. The decision was irreversible. He had placed his private household under outside scrutiny and stripped the woman closest to his family of control. Whatever life I had expected to return to after my shift was gone. I was now part of the record, the witness who had challenged him, and the person responsible for making sure his power did not swallow the truth. Adrian offered to arrange compensation for the additional hours. I closed the chart. I'm not taking money from you outside my hospital pay. Something almost like respect moved through his exhaustion. Why? Because I may need to tell you no again. Across the room, Vanessa lowered her phone onto the counter as ordered. Its screen went dark. Minutes later, Marcus called Adrian. He listened without speaking, then put the call on speaker. The backup is being erased, Marcus said. Not from the house. The deletion started after Mrs. Reed's access was removed. Vanessa's eyes lifted to mine. She looked afraid now. But not surprised. On the tablet beside her, 6 weeks of feeding records began disappearing one line at a time. The feeding records vanished faster than I could read them. Disconnect the tablet, I said. Vanessa reached for it first. Adrian caught her wrist, not hard, but with enough precision to stop her hand inches above the screen. His voice stayed low. Don't. She stared at him as though restraint hurt more than force. I pulled the network cable, photographed the remaining entries, and called Dr. Shaw to witness the time. Marcus's voice came through the speaker. The app is compromised, but the formula machine may retain a local history. Preserve it, I said. Adrian glanced at me before repeating the order. He could have taken control. Instead, he let my procedure become his command. For the next hour, I built a second timeline from what remained: Lily's weights, glucose readings, hospital visits, and the nights marked by sudden fatigue. Marcus recovered fragments from the machine's internal memory: water volume, powder setting, administrator login. The altered feedings were not random. They clustered around specific dates. What happened on these mornings? I asked Adrian. He studied the list. His face closed. Business. That isn't an answer. It's the answer you need. Your daughter's illness may be changing your decisions. I need to know which ones. The room went still. His men looked away. Vanessa did not. He was dismantling something his father built, she said softly. Adrian's eyes cut toward her. Enough. I placed Lily's weight chart beside his calendar. Every sharp decline came before a cancelled meeting, a delayed vote, or a signature he had never given. The bottles were not only harming Lily. Someone had been using her condition to move Adrian like a piece on a board. He looked at the pattern, and for the first time, I saw fear break through his control. I'm closing a transportation division, he said. People who depended on it believe the decision makes us vulnerable. Did Vanessa oppose it? He did not answer immediately. That hesitation answered for him. Vanessa folded her hands. I opposed destroying the family because grief made him ashamed of it. Adrian moved toward her. I stepped into his path. Not yet. His attention dropped to me. Records are disappearing. Then we recover them. We do not frighten the only person who may explain them into silence. You think she deserves protection? I think Lily deserves evidence no one can challenge. His jaw flexed. Behind us, Lily stirred in her crib, making a thin sound that pulled both of us back toward her. I lowered my voice. Promise me you won't question Vanessa alone. Give Marcus time to locate the deletion source. Adrian looked at his daughter, then at the chart connecting her worst nights to his abandoned decisions. You have my word. The words should have steadied me. Instead, I remembered telling him promises only mattered when they cost something. Marcus traced the deletion signal 20 minutes later. It was coming from inside the hospital, near the private family suite. Hospital counsel was on the way to authorize a search. 10 minutes, they said. Lily's next feeding began before they arrived. Her rhythm faltered, and I had to remain beside her, counting swallows while Dr. Shaw adjusted the plan. Through the glass, I saw Vanessa speak to Adrian. I could not hear her, but I watched his shoulders change. She said something else. His face emptied. Then he turned to Marcus and gave an order. By the time Lily stabilized, the hallway was silent. Vanessa was gone from her chair. I found Adrian outside a locked consultation room, her cream folder and phone on the table beside him. What did you do? I asked. Recovered the device. How? He did not answer. Marcus looked down. On the phone screen, the deletion bar reached 100%. The final block of records was gone. Adrian's promise had lasted less than 10 minutes. She mentioned your wife, I said. His silence confirmed it. You let her use your guilt to make you destroy the process. I was trying to save the evidence. No. You were trying to escape waiting. Something in his face fractured. He reached for me, then stopped before touching my arm. Claire, I closed the chart and set it on the counter between us. I will keep treating Lily because she is my patient. But I am no longer working for you. Behind the locked door, Vanessa laughed once, a broken, joyless sound. Ask him what else disappeared the night his wife died, she called. Adrian went motionless. And suddenly, the missing records were no longer the most dangerous secret in the room. Adrian's face did not change, but his hand closed at his side until the knuckles whitened. My wife's death has nothing to do with Lily's feeding records. Vanessa's voice came through the locked door. Then open it and let me say that where everyone can hear. I wanted no part of another private confession shaped by fear. But the missing data had narrowed Lily's treatment options, and Vanessa had just tied the erased records to the wound Adrian guarded most fiercely. Walking away would protect my dignity. It might also leave a child trapped inside someone else's silence. The interview is recorded, I said. Dr. Shaw stays. Hospital counsel stays. No one touches her. Adrian looked at the card in his hand. You said you weren't working for me. I'm not. This is for Lily. The distinction hurt him. I saw it land, and refused to soften it. Vanessa entered the consultation room without restraints. Her composure had returned, but the cream folder trembled against her ribs. She placed it on the table and opened to a hospital discharge record from the night Adrian's wife died. He told you he left her for business, she said. He believes that's why she died. Adrian stood behind me, silent enough to disappear if the room had not been built around his presence. Vanessa slid forward a nursing note. The timestamp showed his wife's condition had deteriorated before Adrian left the hospital, not after. A physician had already recommended emergency intervention. Consent had been delayed because the signed form was missing from the chart. Where did you get this? Dr. Shaw asked. I kept copies of everything she asked me to protect. Vanessa looked at Adrian. Your absence did not cause her death. But your family buried the missing consent because admitting the hospital failed would have exposed too many people. Adrian stared at the page. For years, guilt had been the chain he used to justify controlling every second around Lily. Now there was evidence, the central belief beneath that control might be wrong. Not proof. But enough to break the shape of his certainty. Why tell us now? I asked. Vanessa's eyes shifted to me. Because he thinks dismantling his father's system will make him clean. It won't. That system protected him when his wife died. Adrian's breathing changed. He did not threaten her. That restraint should have mattered. Instead, I saw what it cost him to remain still while the story of his worst night was rewritten in front of strangers. Dr. Shaw turned the page and found a list of archived account numbers tied to the family's medical and household systems. One matched the administrator code on Lily's bottle labels. Another matched the backup server currently being erased. This doesn't prove who altered the feedings, he said. But it proves the medical records and the family records were connected long before Lily became ill. Vanessa closed the folder. If you want what remains, release me from this room and keep the matter inside the family. Adrian looked at me. Once, I might have answered for him. I could not do that now. If you hide this, I said, I will report every irregularity I witnessed, including what happened tonight. His eyes held mine. Even if it destroys what's left? Especially then. The choice cost me more than I expected. It meant becoming the difficult nurse again. Risking my position. Losing access to Lily if his lawyers pushed hard enough. And losing whatever fragile thing had begun between us before he broke it. I signed the incident report in front of him. No private arrangement. No protection from consequences. Adrian read my signature, then placed his own beneath it. Vanessa's certainty faltered. Marcus entered with a recovered fragment from the damaged server. It showed 6 altered feeding sessions, and a payment schedule linked to the transportation division Adrian planned to close. The recipient field had been concealed. The authorization had not. Vanessa Reed. Adrian looked at the woman who had helped raise him. Tomorrow, he said, his voice stripped of everything but grief, you tell us what you were trying to save. Vanessa did not ask for a lawyer the next morning. She asked for the cream folder. Hospital counsel placed it in front of her, along with the recovered server fragment, Lily's feeding chart, and the report showing half the calories promised on the label. Evidence, not intimidation. My condition. Adrian sat across from her with both hands visible on the table. He had not slept. Neither had I, tell the truth, he said. Vanessa opened the folder to the payment schedule Marcus had recovered. You were going to close the transportation division on Friday. Adrian's expression remained still. Because it should have been closed years ago. Your father built the family around it. Hundreds of people depend on that system. My daughter did not. Vanessa's eyes flicked toward the glass wall separating us from Lily's room. She was never supposed to be in danger. The sentence emptied the air. I placed the feeding timeline beside her. Then explained the altered ratios. Her fingers flattened against the paper. I added water to selected nighttime bottles. Small amounts at first. Enough to make her tired. Enough to slow her weight gain. My stomach turned, but I kept my voice even. For 6 weeks. I monitored her. You monitored the harm you chose. Her composure cracked. Every time she worsened, he canceled a vote, delayed a signature, stayed home. The division remained open. The family remained protected. The perfect feeding logs. The administrator code. The bottles prepared after the kitchen was locked. Lily improving when the hospital controlled every ounce. The dates aligned with Adrian's calendar because Lily's weakness had been engineered to move him. Vanessa looked at him with something that resembled devotion. You believe control makes you cruel. It kept you alive after your wife died. It kept all of us alive. Adrian lowered his eyes to the old hospital record. For years, he had believed leaving his wife had killed her. Now the note suggested her crisis had begun before he walked away, and that the system Vanessa worshipped had buried failures afterward. His guilt had built a prison around Lily. Vanessa had simply learned how to use the locks. You decided how much suffering was acceptable, I said. Because you thought the outcome justified it. She turned toward me. You think he has never done the same? Adrian did not defend himself. That silence was the first honest answer he had given her. Counsel slid another document across the table. The remaining financial archive tied Vanessa's payments to the transportation division, but accessing the complete records required Adrian's authorization. Releasing them would prove motive and preserve the case against everyone who benefited. It would also expose the division's hidden accounts, contracts, and Adrian's own control over them. Vanessa leaned back. Handle me privately, and the rest stays buried. Give them the archive, and you lose the division. Your partners. Your protection. Perhaps more. Adrian looked through the glass at Lily sleeping beneath the soft blue light. Then he looked at me. What would you do? Once, the question might have felt like trust. Now I understood the boundary inside it. This cannot be about earning me back, I said. Or punishing her. Choose what protects Lily when no one promises to forgive you. Counsel placed 2 authorization packets before him. One preserved the family's secrecy. The other released everything. The court order protecting the archive expired at sunrise. Adrian removed his father's watch and set it between the documents. Hours later, I passed the waiting room and found him alone beneath the dimmed lights, the city paling beyond the windows. One packet would save his empire. The other would tell the truth. Neither had been signed. The sunrise reached the waiting room before Adrian moved. It caught on his father's watch, turning the metal warm against the unsigned papers. I stood in the doorway without entering. This choice had to exist without me inside it. He looked at the packet that protected the family, then slid it aside. On the second, he signed every page. Not just the release. The section naming his own authority over the transportation division. The waiver that prevented him from removing himself before the archive was opened. When hospital counsel arrived, Adrian handed over the drive and every access code, including the linked medical archive. He left his father's watch beside the packet that would have protected the family. Everything, he said. No private copies. By 8, the division's accounts were frozen. By 9, men who had waited years for Adrian's weakness were calling. Marcus stood beside him with a phone full of warnings. They want instructions. Adrian looked through the glass at Lily. Tell them the division is closed. And the people who move against us? No retaliation. Legal counsel handles every consequence. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. The world Adrian controlled had just become smaller because he chose not to defend it the old way. He crossed the hall to Lily's room but stopped outside. Dr. Shaw decides who enters, he said to the security team. Not me. That mattered more than an apology. Inside, I had already finished the long-term care plan, independent preparation checks, duplicate feeding logs, outside review, and direct reporting that bypassed the Cole household. Adrian read every condition. You won't live at the house, he said. No, you won't answer to Vanessa's replacement. I answer to the hospital. And if I disagree with a medical decision? You ask questions. You don't remove the person who gives an answer you dislike. His hand tightened once, then relaxed. Accepted. This does not make me your employee. Accepted. And it does not erase what happened. His eyes lowered. I know. Dr. Shaw wheeled in the scale. The same small machine that had started everything waited beneath the morning lights. I undressed Lily and laid her carefully on the tray. For 1 second, no one breathed. Then the number appeared. 3 ounces up. Small. Real. Stable. Adrian gripped the rail but did not reach for the display, as if he understood the number belonged to Lily before it belonged to his relief. His eyes closed. When they opened, they were wet. You saved her, he said. I noticed what didn't fit. You chose what happened after. He looked toward the hallway where the calls kept coming. I should have waited that night. Yes. The answer hurt him, but I would not soften truth into comfort. I broke my word. I used fear as permission. He did not ask me to forgive him. That was the final proof. My shift ended at noon. I removed my watch, the one I had used to count every swallow, and placed it in my pocket. For once, I was leaving on time. Adrian waited by the door without blocking it. He did not touch me. He did not ask me to stay. Just as he had learned to wait for Lily to choose the bottle, he stood still and let the choice remain mine. I walked past him, then stopped. Trust was not restored by one signature. Love was not proven by one sacrifice. But tomorrow could be built differently from yesterday. I turned back and placed my hand in his. Tomorrow, I said. We start with tomorrow. He had ruled by making people afraid to speak. In the end, he saved what mattered by letting the truth cost him everything.